Hey guys, Grant Hubbard here with another Gutter Growth podcast for you. Today is a special day on the Gutter Growth podcast. I'm joined by not just an incredibly talented entrepreneur, but one of my best friends, Will Huff. Thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me, Grant. Nice to see you this morning.
Yeah, you too. And what a great video. I'm pretty sure that a lot of that footage was taken by either you or Gracie. And
yeah, I think I saw some in the conference there that we actually did. So.
Yes. You played a major role in that event, and it was spectacular. We'll talk a little bit about that today. I just kind of want to introduce you. I wrote this with love, and I'm excited to get it out. So let me just go ahead and move on with it. Will is the owner of YOENSO, a powerhouse media company making big waves in the industry. I've been watching this happen for many years with you, and I'm really proud of what you've been doing. He's an avid photographer, as many of you may have or may have not seen. Me and Will just recently got to spend some time together where I kind of got to, in my peripheral, even though I was paying really good attention, to watch Will in action for a few hours out here in Florida. And just really see him out in the wild, which is a side that I have not seen a lot of you personally, because usually we're watching sports, doing events, etc. So that was really interesting. And although you almost had to drag me out there, I really didn't want to leave when it was time to go. So I'm really excited to do that again. And there's a calmness to that. And I think I could see how people can get addicted to it. But he and his wife actually helped capture all the incredible moments from our Gutter Summit. And their creative work truly brought that event to life. I know a lot of people still ask about you and Gracie, so we really appreciate and value the way you serve the community. That's just what you do naturally. But that's not all. Will is an English professor who's traveled all around the world teaching English. And right now, he and his team are working on something truly historic, a paper that they were asked to submit to the President of the United States. I couldn't be prouder to have you here today. We're going to dive into his journey, his creative process, and the mindset it takes to operate at the level that he's playing at. Will, welcome to the show.
I appreciate it, man. I feel like you really, really built me up. Now I got to really live up to it.
You know what's crazy, and I know that you don't deal with this, but as people start to grow in their entrepreneurial journey, their spiritual journey, their health, whatever it is journey, I think we're always looking at others like, man, they're so much bigger. People are really are bigger than they really are, right? But I really think all of those things about you, and I'm just honored to speak with you today and just get a little bit of knowledge from you, because it's well, let's treat this like it's no different than one of those phone calls I might be calling and asking you for advice or running an idea by you. Let's talk about what it takes to grow and what it takes to be accountable today. I know that you are excellent in those things. So just tell us a little bit about your story right now.
Well, I appreciate the kind words. You know, I didn't see myself as being a teacher when I first got going in my career. I went to college to be a coach, but I didn't want to teach. I wanted to be a coach for football, baseball. And then as I progressed through my college undergraduate program, I realized I really had a love for marketing and public relations. So I ended up getting my degree in public relations / German / Spanish. So I had like 3 minors to go with my major, and I got out. But then it was 2000, I think it was 9 or 10, and there were no jobs available. We had just gone through the economic downturn, and so I'm coming fresh out of college while everybody else in the marketing industry has like years of experience taking beginner jobs and trying to do everything. So it was weird, but I was like, man, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And it sounded like a voice just came into my head. Like I say, it was God's voice. It just said, go teach English in Korea. I had no background in that. No, I've never been to Korea, never anything. And then I went, loved it. So within 3 months, I was in Korea. I just said, you know what? There's something telling me to go do this. I'm going to go do it. Got to Korea, realized I loved teaching the language of English to people who didn't know it, because those people are almost dream chasers themselves, which is what I see myself as. So I was giving them the tool to reach their dreams of success. And I loved that. So I got my master's degree and then started teaching at universities. And again, I taught business English. I taught from the beginning levels of people learning the alphabet all the way up to writing papers for college courses and how to structure messaging, how to be clear and concise and communicate. My one thing as a teacher was, if people understand what you want, that is the goal of communication and language. Because if they don't understand what you want, there was no point in saying all of the words. So I taught my students to say, keep it simple first. When you're a brand new speaker, use just nouns. If somebody came to you, didn't speak English, but they said water, you would understand. If they said food, they just speak in nouns. And then we build up to the more complicated messaging once they were able to get there. So in that, I tied that with what I had done in marketing before in my degrees. And plus I helped musicians for about 5 or 6 years.
That's right.
Get on the Billboard and other things with very low budgets, but just about market messaging. And I tied those together. I said, well, that communication aspect of learning a language can go with marketing, because marketing is just about getting your point across. So I tied those together. But when 2020 came, the COVID hit, and I no longer had students. There were no visas coming in, and the writing had been on the wall. So the university I was working at said, hey, we're not going to have any full-time positions anymore. We're just going to have to go to part-time, piecing it together, $100 a week here or there, things like that. And I said, okay, this is an opportunity for me to get back into business, marketing, and those kind of things. So while everyone was separated and you were limited to what you could be doing, I decided to dive back into learning. I wanted to learn more and more. I did a lot of audiobooks while I was teaching, and then I did more books during COVID in 2020. By the end of 2020, I was realizing, when it comes to marketing, there's something I always have to send people to, and that's video or photography. Right. So I talked with my wife, and we said, let's just get us some equipment and learn how to do this. So we got equipment, and then I went to what we call YouTube University. I watched YouTube videos, and for every hour of learning I did on YouTube, I would go out to the Florida swamp and practice for 3 hours with my camera. Yeah. So I was matching time learned and then exceeding it in time practicing. Because if you're just taking in knowledge, it does absolutely nothing for you. So you're going to have people listening to this podcast on some days where you're giving them tips, and they're like, oh, yeah. And they feel like they did something because they listened to it. But if they didn't go put it into practice, it was useless information until you put it into practice. So I was instantly putting it into practice and realized not only was I decent at photography, that I liked doing it. So now I took that to go along with my consulting with marketing and making commercials and all that, put it together at the exact right moment, because then I got a call to become a campaign manager for a political campaign. So I got to run a campaign, meet everybody in the political world. And then, so everything tied together from what I learned, what I put together, and actually put it into action to have some kind of role where I could go out and make a living with everything that I'd pieced together through my life. And just one quick thing, a lot of people who are small business owners feel like, man, I've done this or I've done that. And they've so many different things that don't seem to fit together, but they really do. Everything you've done in your life has brought you to the moment you are right now. So utilize everything that you've ever brought in and everything you've ever learned, every mistake you've ever made, put it together for this moment right now and see where that's going to take you tomorrow.
100%. Thank you. Yeah, I want to touch on something you said back. You said that you kind of heard that voice and you thought that it was God. At that time, were you a Christian? Were you a believer? I'm just curious.
Yeah. I'd always been peripheral Christian, I guess you call it.
Right.
Go to church every once in a while. Or I used to go to church in the 90s with my aunt and uncle, and they would take me to church when they had shots when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I moved away from where my church was, I went less and less.
Yeah.
Until I was like more in my 20s.
What's brought you back into that? I just know that personally about you, that you've worked back on building that relationship.
Well, I always kept the relationship, I would say. Like, I always talked to God. It was weird. I never like pray where you got down and prayed, but I always had conversations. It was like I would always talk and talk and talk. But one thing is I don't like to ask God for anything. I like to thank God for everything. Like, so even when I'm at my lowest, when it's feeling like overwhelming, I start thanking God for the things ahead. But back in 2019, I was diagnosed with a cyst in my spinal cord. And that was when I was wrapping up teaching, and I was on all kinds of medicine. I had to wear a neck brace. I was in pain like no other. It was constant pain. And I think that was changing my attitude and also how I interacted with people. Like, I became less of a people person and didn't want to deal with anyone because I was in constant, it was this dull pain, probably on an 8 out of 10 scale. Just hurt. But Gracie, my wife, for those who don't know, she was getting us to go to church in West Palm Beach a little more than I wanted to, because I wanted to stay in and sleep. And
take photographs.
And go out and hit the swamp and get the gator pics. But
you did it.
But we were at church one day, and I was in pain, because if I didn't have a chair that would support my head where I could lean back and have support, I was in pain. So I'd stay at home all day. I had a chair that had wings so I could lay in it and it would support my head. But I was at church, and then I was like, you know what? God can do anything. And I said, you know what, God, you can take care of this. And so why don't you just take care of it now, and we'll be on our way. It was like that. It was, I didn't ask for it. I knew he would. And what was strange is it felt like somebody touched the back of my neck. Then it felt like something shifted in my spine. The pain was gone in seconds. I no longer needed the brace, got off the medicine cold turkey, and just instantly was able to live life normal, which if that hadn't happened, there's no way I could walk around lugging this thing hanging on my neck to take my pictures and do what I do in marketing and photography, because my doctors were telling me to get on disability. Right. They were telling me, you're done. You're not going to work anymore. Get on disability and just stay home and try to stay out of pain. That's what they were telling me. So, I mean, having that happen at the church there in West Palm Beach, it was just instant. And so that would let me know that anything was possible. You just got to believe that it's going to happen. It wasn't asking with doubt. It was stating, do it, kind of a thing.
We have to talk like that to ourselves sometimes too, through doubt, right? We can find all the excuses on the planet, or ulterior, we got something else that not being prioritized, not having a vision, not having set goals. And then also it doesn't help when you have no one to hold you accountable, right? Whether it's a spouse or a business partner, a boss, whatever it may be. But man, God is good. I remember that time in your life, and I'm thankful, sure as you are, that is over. As a business owner, a professional and a creative, now that you're literally writing something for the President of the United States, how do you personally balance creativity with clarity when the stakes are high?
Yeah, creativity is, in my mind, you trying to grab the attention to get what you want. It's not about fanciful ideas or mythical quest or things like that. So I approach everything through the lens of the Simon Sinek, start with why.
Okay.
And so everything I write, I want to first draw everyone into why they should be reading what I'm writing. So when like for what's coming up is we're working on election security aspects, and we're briefing the president on Thursday of next week. So what we're doing is we're having a paper of what we need from him but we can't just tell someone what you need from them. You have to let them know the steps. And I even see that with parents dealing with children. If you let them know why at the beginning, before you start telling them what to do, they're more likely to do what you want. If you say, hold on, son, that is hot. If you touch it, you will hurt very, very badly. So don't touch it, opposed to just saying, don't touch it. I realize people react better if they know why you're asking them to do what you're asking them to do. Yeah. So if you're wanting someone to listen to this podcast, you say, you should listen to this podcast because we're working to build businesses together. We're working to strengthen the community. We're working to bring glory to God. We're doing this, and through our podcast is how we're doing it. And so that's how I like to take the balance of the creative is bringing you in with why you should be doing what I'm asking you to do.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I like talking about that in the technical side of the coaching, the more like real world coaching, training. An example would be I go to obviously a lot of companies around the country, and I'll often watch the trainer tell someone new just to go do something.
Yeah.
Just go cut that downspout. Hey, what should I do, Grant? Just go cut that downspout, like we talked about before. Versus, when Grant's training someone or someone that has training styles similar to mine, it'd be like, hey, Will, I need you to go cut that downspout. And the reason I'm going to have you work on that right now is because I'm going to be doing this. And when you finish that, I'll finish this. And then that'll be perfect timing for us to work on this next phase that's coming. So I want you to prepare for that thing that's next, but let's just focus on getting this done, and that'd be extremely helpful. And the end result, right? The conversation prior to that would be, we're going to get you to be making as much money doing the best quality as quickly as possible. So we really want to work together and communicate with compassion and understanding, but also always have it surround the why, right? Not the
and a lot of the workers in our industry in home improvements or small businesses, you have people, their why is just to have a meal for tomorrow.
Yeah.
And so their why is not big. So when you throw out lofty goals, like I'm going to have you as a business owner, sometimes they're also not even on that. They're like, man, I just want to get through the day. I want to do enough to not get fired. And that's even, when you're approaching employees, going with the why, you have to know their why. You have to actually know the employee you're talking to. So that way you can play with that a little bit and like, oh, I know you got a little baby girl named Samantha. Let's get this job done. And there's going to be, a great Christmas present coming up for Samantha. It's going to be fun. But even to start with why works when trying to bid a job or get someone to want to buy gutters.
Right.
A lot of people have a house with none on it, and they said everything's been fine. But if you walk up and say, if you don't put gutters on, but I won't even phrase it like that. I'm sorry. I would say, with the way the water runs down on your house, it's going to deteriorate your yard. We want to have nice yards. We want to have nice windowsills. We want to have things that aren't damaged in the long term. We want to have a driveway where the water's not running under the concrete because you're not directing where the water should go. We can help you with that. And the way we can help you with that is by putting on gutters with downspouts that come here and they go there. That way, you're going to have the beautiful garden. You're going to have the yard without the divots that are destroying it. You're not going to have the termite mounds. You're not going to have the water damage on the windowsills that will cost you thousands of dollars in repairs coming up. That's the why. And when you start with the why with the customer, then it works them back into, well, how do we do this? And that's, well, we get the gutters and you buy them from me.
Yeah, man. Hey, we might be hiring over here soon. I know you're moving back, but that might be a little bit below. That was good for not being a gutter guy.
It's just that you got to approach everyone as the hero in their own story. And if you come in as the hero, they don't want to hear it. And this is, I'm stealing this from a book called Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller. Okay. And it's, you need to make your customer the hero in their story. If you come in and say, I can save this, I can do that, I can do that, it kind of turns people off. If you come in and say, you can do this to your yard, you can do this, you can do this, here's how, that makes them the key person in the story. And they are like, yeah, I can do it. I can do it. This person's just going to help me. And that's what businesses need to be, is the helper of the customer. So when, again, you know, this is focused on mostly on gutter people, you want to go to a house to pitch them on how they are going to be the hero, how they are going to save their yard, how they are going to make it pretty, how they are going to have the best, you know, looking house in the neighborhood with these copper gutters and the downspouts that look like little bells and all that stuff. So that's how you got to approach it in the gutter industry, I think, with pitching new people who don't realize they need gutters and they don't understand all the damage that not having a gutter does to your yard. You have to help them be the person that they can envision themselves being.
Yeah, I like the way that you phrase that. That is going to be really helpful for our viewers. I appreciate that takeaway right there. Making the customer the hero, and that's going to put some weight on them to be decisive, right?
Yeah. Do you want to have a house that's not falling apart? Do you want to save your driveway from the erosion that's happening under it, which is going to cause the cracking and collapsing? Do you want to stop that from happening? Do you want to have the great looking property? If you do, here's how you can do that.
Yeah.
So it makes them feel like, oh man, if I don't do that, I'm going to
have those things.
I'm going to have the dry rot on my windowsills. I don't want to have that. Or I'm going to have the yard that's just torn apart by the rain, washing off all the shingle, tar and everything. Mm-hmm. So if they don't know about it, but you're giving them the chance to be the hero to save their yard.
I tell little Luke stuff like that all the time, right? And parenting and business ownership obviously have some things that are similar and some things that are not. But I say to Luke all the time, like, do you want to be that guy? You know, like when he doesn't do his chore or something like that, I'm like, man, do you want to be that guy at work that like the boss was already told you when you were hired that it was your job to take out the trash every, week or whatever. And then a couple of weeks went by and then he had to ask you about it. And then you said it would never happen again. And then it did. Like, is that the guy you want to be? Right. And so I'm phrasing it a little different to him because he has to stop and think like, well, do I want to be that guy? Is that acceptable to me? And you could take this long journey into who you're going to be or not going to be. But that's where you start to be decisive about things that you can control. And you can control putting gutters on your house. You can control doing your chores. You might not be able to control getting cancer or dementia or something like that.
Or a hurricane coming in.
But there are things that are in your control. And when you lead or are coaching or mentoring others, I love the way that you put that, Will. I want to dive into my third question for you, which might be a little bit of a promo. But you and your wife helped bring the Gutter Summit to life through your photography and media work. From your perspective, what makes a story, whether it be through photos, words, or video, really connect with people? And I just want to let the viewers know that you can reach out to Will. It looks like he has his there at Will Go Further, but his YOENSO media company does offer on-site photography and video. There are some awesome packages, and I know that he'll have something put together for you Gutter Growth members exclusively with a discount or something for you paying members. But Will, talk to us a little bit about how you're able to connect with people through that story that you create, similar to what you did for us out in Austin, obviously.
Yeah. When it comes to photography, the pictures are pointless if nobody wants to look at them. That's the one thing I learned when I started my photography. I would take tons of pictures and Gracie would be like, you can't post every picture. You got to pick and choose which one. So what people want to see is an angle that they hadn't really seen before, and that'll help you watch it. So it's looking for the angle that people hadn't thought of or seen. So when it came to the gutter growth, first, one of my goals was to have a quick turnaround. I wanted everyone to at the gutter growth to feel, hey, yeah,
The Gutter Summit, you're talking about
gutter
the summit?
yeah, gutter summit, to be like, this is us. We're here. That's me. I want to take that photo. I want to take that and share it. So now we built a community. That day one, I had pictures by midday.
Yeah, you
And
did.
so people then, that what became the community that they were part of. But what happened is they started sharing them, and the people who didn't come to the gutter summit started seeing the smiles, the intensity of our speakers,
Yeah.
the host giving their speeches, and going through those angles of putting it lower, letting people see the emotions that are on the faces, not just plain photos. You can't have that. They have to be where you can see someone, if there's a finger pointing and a smile or a laugh, and then you know that the people there were enjoying themselves, were getting something out of it. And that's where I was approaching the photography. But the turnaround was to build the community, so that way the people who weren't there felt like they were there a little bit, but then also had FOMO, because they realized that they were missing out on all the great speakers. They were missing out on the motivation, the knowledge, the wisdom, and the community of the people who were just really getting along with each other. So that's how I always approach my angles on photos. And when I'm doing the video, how we're doing it, we want it to look like people are going to watch it and say, I'm missing out on something by not being there or being a part of that. And Gracie and I made a couple commercials for different gutter companies, and we also kind of looked at it that way. Like, we did the photos and the video, but it was kind of put together in a way of, if you're not getting this done, you're missing out. If you're not getting gutters from us, you're missing out on being a part of our community, kind of a thing.
I wanted to share briefly, real quick, just a part of your video here. I absolutely love this video.
When I say conquer the, you say climb. Conquer the, conquer the. One more time, conquer the. All right, guys, let's clap it up.
What a show, man. What a show.
Everyone here is intent on helping you to build your business, to figure out what are the pain points that you're currently having, what are things that you have issues with, what are you struggling with at the moment, and then be able to give you actionable advice to be able to overcome those things.
This is a place where you can come to really get into the growth mindset and absorb knowledge from everybody in the industry and build a secondary family.
So many different types of people, there's lots of different areas. Everybody brings a little bit of something. So take all the bits and pieces together, put it all together, and you can start building an empire.
Out there.
Yeah, so Gracie did a lot of that video along with John Majak's team.
Yeah.
And when we were there, I was peripheral kind of director, I guess, like unelected leader, where I would say, hey, we should get some of this, you should get some of that.
Yeah.
Because it comes in later, like, get these angles, shoot from here, make sure you get the room with all the vendors from this angle. Make sure you highlight the vendors, because the vendors got a lot of value for being there. And we had to showcase that, because if you skip the vendors and don't let people see the value that the vendors got by being at the summit, then you lost an opportunity there, because all the vendors should want to be there, and even more again for the next summit. So that was one of the parts where, when you're telling the story, tell all of the story, all of the parts, because you want the vendors to see why they should be at the Gutter Summit for 2025 and going forward.
You're going to be there with us again this year. And I'm just so excited. I'm so excited to do it again. There's this feeling, there's anxiety. I guess that's the best word, right? I try not to use that word. I try not to own it, but every now and then it creeps up. And I know we're getting ready to have some more meetings in regards to exactly what that agenda is going to look like, finalize some other things, the food, all that stuff. As now we know what it looks like from last year, our first year putting it together, without any real team or support. And it was just fabulous. Will, sometimes I watch that video 2-3 times a day. Sometimes I'll watch it just before I go to bed. I almost know it word for word. And it's 7 minutes and 42 seconds long. It's the greatest thing in my life right now. It's so cool.
With your summit, the one thing I noticed is the people there were just so happy. And so this is going to go to business owners. When you think, man, I might have messed up a little bit here in my message or did a little bit there. Oh man, I should have done this. I should have done that. People don't realize they see the end product. And if your end product is solid and giving value to the customer, letting them be the hero of their story, they're not going to notice the little things you might have messed up when you were doing a pitch and you said, oh man, I said copper and I meant aluminum, or things like that, like where you messed up, but most people don't know. And as long as you just keep going and you get them the solid results that they're looking for, they're not going to know you might have made a couple mistakes that you wish you could have changed. And I saw that with you guys because you guys were so focused on giving the best experience possible to the people who came to the summit. And you were stressing on different things like, oh, we should have done this, we should have done that. But when I was out on the floor talking to everyone, they're like, oh, this is the best thing ever. And so they didn't know that the badges should have been pre-printed for the platinum members or whatever. They didn't know the ribbon should have been pre-cut and put out. I mean, these are the things they didn't know that were going on behind the scenes of you guys working like 12, 13 hours a day outside of the Gutter Summit itself, trying to make sure everything was going right, where you were like, okay, we see this happening. We got to hurry up, get everybody to the back room, work on this, get this printer, get that going. Nobody knew that was going on because everything else was laid out with the solid foundation. And so you guys had the foundation to make it good. The details, nobody knew what was going on, that you were constantly on the fly adjusting.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, that is the blessing of the 4-person partnership that we have, right? Me, John D, John M, and Tim. It makes the end result so much better, right? Because we all get to have our input. But John Majak specifically with that event, I mean, I always take my hat off to, like, he put so much work into that. And like, now I'm just like, I can't wait for this to happen every year, to be a part of, I call it his Majak, and it's like his magic, right? So it's like Mr. Magic, Mr. Majak.
Yeah, what's he going to pull out of the hat?
But I mean, it was incredible, and I'm really excited, and I got the same feedback. So that communication you were talking about, with all the noise in today's world, why do you think strong communication, whether through a single photo, a business brand, like our new Mother's Gutter, or even a presidential paper, still matters more than ever?
Well, if you don't let people know what you do and why you do it and how it helps them, they are not going to react or respond to you. They're going to listen to somebody else who is telling them what they need, that they will do it, and that they will help them be the hero of their story. So if you're not the one out there spreading the message of what you need to get done, but also clarifying why it helps the other person, then you're not going to be on the winning side of things. And you got to, if people don't know about you, you don't exist. If they don't know Mother's Gutters exist, you don't exist. You are not there. I think Grant Cardone used some logic like that, like in his messaging, where he said, if they don't know about you, then you're not going to get the business. And so, bless you, messaging and getting your name out constantly and having people see it over and over and over. Like when I started doing my photography, like you can see, I put my YOENSO logo down in the bottom corner. People are like, why don't you put your name? Why don't you put Will Huff? You're the photographer. I was like, well, think of how many millions of people now have seen the word YOENSO, and they don't know it's building a trust that they don't even know that it's building, because they're seeing it over and over and over and over again. And then one day they're going to get hit with an ad that says, help your organization grow with YOENSO. And they're going to say, oh, yeah, that's that. That's that name. I recognize it. I know it from somewhere.
That's
And
right there.
people they're like, we don't even know what that means. What does it mean? And I was like, do you need to know what it means?
Yeah.
Did you know what Tesla meant when it first came out? A lot of people don't know Nikola Tesla.
Right.
You build it up into what you want it to mean. And like their origin, though, is your entertainment source.
Yes.
And so because I was working with musicians and helping them grow as musicians, and like I helped a guy get on the Billboard album with zero budget, or a Billboard charts with
I remember that. Yeah, that was
zero
great.
budget. And so it was all about entertainment. And that's where that came from, actually, was coaching entertainers on being able to perform and stop the vultures from getting their hands in the pockets and taking all their money. So that's where it started. But it's always come from the place of, I want to help someone else be the hero and reach their goals. And that, I think, has helped me be the most successful of all the stuff I do, is my mindset of I'm trying to help someone else reach their dreams, reach their goals. And that's with the politics, when I'm helping politicians try to win an office, like people, they try to give me the credit, like, oh, Will said. I'm like, no. If you agree with me, that's your idea. You don't have to give me credit, because we're trying to get you elected to reach your goal. We're trying to get this done to reach the goal. You don't have to throw it back to me. I'm getting paid as your consultant to give you your ideas, to get in your messages. It's not my message. You take it. You never have to give me credit publicly on anything, because I'm trying to help you reach your dream. So you take it, you run with it, you make it. I like giving credit where credit's due too. Just like I could have taken the storybook hero aspect and just sat on it and said that was my idea, but it's not. And so I understand the need to give credit, and this would be a good time to give credit, because I'm not trying to sell a book, and so it's somebody else's book. But for him or any candidate I work with, they want to also give the credit, and I tell them, I'm here to make you be the hero. You win your position, and that gives me my internal that word was satisfying.
Do you have a book? Our viewers, myself, my partners, were always looking for new books. Do you have a book that you'd like to pitch that you're talking about specifically? Go ahead.
Yeah. It's called Build a Story Brand 2.0 by Donald Miller. I just finished it. Building a Story Brand 2.0 by Donald Miller. I just finished it on my drive back from Florida this weekend. And it really puts you in the mindset of how you should make your messaging. I say, if you take that book with Simon Sinek's Start With Why, you put those together, and you're going to have the ability to message almost anything you want to message. And you got to internalize it and really understand it. But once you put it together, and then the other Simon Sinek book is Leaders Eat Last. Yes. So if you're trying to be a boss running a company and helping with the marketing message, you put those three together, you're going to not only be able to lead your employees, you're going to be able to grow your company.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Well, man, I just want to say it's been incredible having you here today. Watching your journey from two kids whose last names start with HU.
You got to sit next to each other in Mr. Fincham's class.
Mr. Fincham's class. Was that 7th grade, 8th grade?
8th grade. 1992 or 93? 93, I think.
I can't remember, but there we were, two new kids from broken homes stuck next to each other. That who knew it was going to turn into this. It's been really fun watching you just become a creative business owner, professor, and now someone who's like trusted to deliver your advice to the president of the United States. So it's inspiring, not just to me, but to everybody that knows you. Your story is proof that when you combine passion with discipline, remember that everybody has to have that discipline, and talent with heart, you can create something that actually matters. So thank you for spending some of your time with me today and sharing your education and your thoughts with our viewers. So
thanks for having me. And I hope to see everybody at the Gutter Summit. That's in August, right?
It's going to be September 24th, 25th, and 26th in Atlanta, Georgia at the Georgian Terrace. You guys can get tickets. They're still on pre-sale, I think, until May 1st, if I'm not. So I think that's a day or two from now. You can get those tickets. I believe they're 60% off. Guttersummit.com.
Oh man, that's a deal for anyone who wants to grow as a person and be around a group, because I think I got like 75 new Facebook friends that still interact with me from that summit. And I was just taking pictures and saying hi to people while I was walking around. So that's one of those events where you're going to end up with lifelong people who you're going to be connected with, lifelong connections who, you know, they might be peripheral, but you're going to be really involved with these people forever, I think.
Very true. I want to just end us here. I'll end us with a little bit more of this. Why not?
Look at where your leads are coming from. That's the more hands you shake, the more money you make.
So my goal is to turn you guys into savages, beasts across the board so that you can crush it. You can make money, be the best family man, and grow and have a purpose. Every day, I want you to wake up fired up. If I can overcome my challenges in life and the shit that I've been through, you guys can do anything.
I know that I need to be better for my family. I need to be better for our business. And then you started talking and I was like, okay, I wrote it down. So right now, for the rest of my life, I'm going to be sober.
Let's go! Woo!
So I'm going to call my shot right now. I don't know if it'll be next year or the year after, but I'm going to be speaking out on this stage.
That's right.
I'm going to be a speaker. I'm going to and I'm going to be telling everybody how they take this service. That's it anyway.
I get it's almost like I got to end it right there, right? So
You know,
it was,
John Majak's team did a great job there also with the editing and the way they kind of stuck it together. But the summit itself told the story, and like that stuff that wasn't scripted. All the things that you heard were just the summit itself. The summit was a story, and so it makes it easy to capture. So,
Will, be blessed. I love you, brother. Can't wait to see you again soon. Have
all
a
right,
great
love you, man.